Hi there, I'm John of John's Carnivorous Plants, and this is my indoor nursery. Today we're going to talk about indoor lighting, and specifically how to find a good grow light for carnivorous plants, which, spoiler alert, is a lot more difficult than I would want to admit. So I need to preface this with saying my engineering background mostly comes from audio engineering, not lighting engineering. So take a lot of what I say within that context, in that I have a lot of experience with the actual growing side of things, the physics side of things. I'm not going to be the best explanation for that. Actually, I think Drew Martinez from Carnivoro, he has a video in which he goes over in depth about grow lighting and talks about the physics behind it a lot more. However, I'm here to give you more practical advice about what you're looking for. Now, I have used numerous different grow technologies over the years of being in this hobby. And it even extends further back, about another 15 years prior to me being in carnivorous plants. So whenever I'm talking about indoor grow lighting, you have to understand that I am very experienced in the practical side, not so much the science side. And what I've noticed is in the hobby overall, you'll see a bunch of people say like, oh, you can't use, bar lighting that's usually used for a garage. Case in point, I am. These are all garage shop lights that are, 40 watts, and they're doing wonderful for me. Literally getting some great coloration off my plants. Like, let's see here, pull one down. So it's like, yeah, like this Pediolaris, like getting very deep, awesome coloration. And you'll just go online. You see, for people who are suggesting you lights for growing, they'll be like, oh, no, never use those, or T12s, or all these other technologies. Ah, it's terrible. It's baloney. Okay, we got to talk about some very specific things here. So the one thing that really pertains to grow lighting and how useful any of these lights are going to be, like even if like you got one of those desk lamps, how useful it's going to be. Output is, what range of light is it outputting? Is it something that these plants can actually use? And for most lights, no, generally speaking, not. What we see in the visible spectrum as humans is not exactly the UV light that these plants are utilizing for photosynthesis. So you're not getting a complete picture with your eyes of how these plants are receiving this. This is why I suggest get a phone app that's light meter. And most of them, even the crappier ones, you're going to want to switch it to par. Okay, and then most of them will have oh, what kind of LED are you using? Is it a red? Is it blue, etc. Click in all your information, put it underneath your light where your plant's going to be. It'll tell you how strong it is. Generally speaking, for all of these plants, if you're in a range between 300 to 500 ppfd, just photon particle flux density. Yeah, photon particle flux density. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Either way, that measurement is essentially on how much penetrative force the photons have to actually penetrate through the leaf. And if you're at that 300 to 500 range, you're going to find that most plants, and even some Nepenthes that's a little much for them, but you'll find most carnivorous plants grow very well in that range. Now, the issue is that whenever it comes to you, the consumer, versus me, the producer, as you can see, the space here between my lights and plants is very short. I literally have it measured out to about 4.5 inches for almost all of them. Some of the bays are about 6 to 8 inches, but it just depends on the species I'm growing there and how much room I need to actually manipulate them. The reason I get by with these, 4-foot garage lights, essentially, are because LEDs as a strip, they are fully illuminating down. It's got this, bar casing around it, so it diffuses the light better. But in general physics, well, not physics, but in general terms, the strip itself is illuminating straight down. So T12s and T5s back in the day, you used to have these hoods that had all this reflective surface on them, so they could bend the light from the other side of the bulb back down to the plants. With LEDs, we don't have that problem anymore, and it's way cooler. Because trust me, growing plants under T5s, it's very intense, and the heat, and you need all kinds of different fans, and it's a nightmare. These newer LED models that you'll find, because they're straight line, all that light's going straight down. So models that even 10 years ago, like the T12s and stuff like that, I would not get the same results. And I was using T12s, T12 LED replacement bulbs up until last year. And then now I've switched entirely the entire setup to LED. Whenever you're looking for an LED light, you don't need a $100 to $200 light. Like a $12 fixture like this, I think, yeah, at bulk, I think I got these at $8. But still, it's just the fact that they're still relatively cheap lights. And even if you're going up to about like the $20-ish mark, that's where you're starting to move from I'm a hobbyist into I have like some really, really specific needs to maintain this particular plant species. And the reason I say that is most of these plants I'm growing are full sun plants. They're normally growing in bright environments. If they would not do well under these lights, I wouldn't be using them. And I've been using them now for almost 8 months. Kind of crazy to think about. And still better output than what I had before. Newer lighting technology has come a long way. You'll find LED lamps and stuff like that for like a little desk lamp actually do work now for Venus flytraps if you get it close enough. And that's the whole thing, is like you want to be about about 3 to 4 inches up to about 6 inches away with your light. And the reason I say that is because you want as much of those photons to penetrate into the plant. Because the longer the harder it is for it to penetrate, the longer it takes the plant to photosynthesize. So you want to give them the chance to like have as much sugar as possible. If you're using a more powerful light, so like I know a bunch of people have recently been using Mars hydros and stuff like that, you can go a full, foot above the plants, sometimes even 2 feet, still get a very good ppfd reading at where your plants are. And it allows you to build a setup or a cabinet or something that you have a lot more space and viewing than what I have here. That's the reason you would use a more powerful light, essentially, is you're wanting to raise the light up, still have enough, illumination to the actual plants, and then actually have more of a display value going on. So that's where you will find the panels and stuff like that start really paying off, is if you have like about a tray's worth of plants and you want to have a nice good illumination going on over top of them to show them off on like your in your living room or whatnot. So that's actually what I used to do for years. Is I actually had it was like a little circular LED and it had blue light and whatnot, and just had that going over the top of a bunch of plants on a coffee table. So it's I understand that like these bars aren't the most feasible in most people's setup, unless like you're using racks like I am. So don't beat yourself up if you're like, oh man, I don't feel like I can maintain it, or oh, I don't feel like the bar works for me. It's like, well, there's many other options. There's even people who use like Sansi lights that are like little bendable, like on little bendable fixtures and whatnot, and just have the bulbs, the Sansi bulbs over top their plants. Works too. It's not that you can't do it. You perfectly can. It's just a matter of how far you keep the light away. So in a roundabout way, I don't think I actually answered the question of this video, and probably have just, made more confusion than anything. I hope not. But if you have any comments down below, who knows? Maybe I'll rework this into something a little bit more informative for the future. I apologize greatly on this one. But thank you so much for watching. The TLDR is basically, you can get by with pretty much just about any kind of light as long as it's giving off enough ppfd. And you can measure that using most phones nowadays, and it'll get you relatively in the ballpark without having to spend millions of dollars on a light meter. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, check out the Discord in the bottom or my website. Help support me. All of it helps. Until the next one, have a great day. It's nice to watch. Well, nice having you watch this. Goodbye.